So, did you play any men's league sports?
Well, I played crazy to do it, but I played a couple of years with Bacon Hosiery Mill baseball team.
Baseball, yeah.
Most of the people was older than I was a little bit, but
I've seen pictures.
I was eager enough to play anyway. And went to Petros a couple of times, played the prisoners, and that was an experience back then for sure. And I got hit in the head with a baseball. We was playing, I don't remember what team we was playing now, up at Bill Maher Stadium in Knoxville. And I was in the touch hall, I got a base hit and was on first. And maybe his Junior Mills was up to bat and he hit the ball into short second base, and I was sure it's going to be a double play, and I was determined to try to break it up, being stupid. And I did, I broke it up, but I like to cost my life. Second baseman hit me right there, over my ear, fractured my skull, and blood coming out my nose and the ear and everything.
It was before helmets.
They took me over to St. Mary's, and I was over there for about a week. They wouldn't even give me a pill. I just had to lay flat and everything. So that was the last baseball game I ever played.
What position in baseball?
I played center field and first base. I played two different positions in baseball. In high school, I played first base mostly. Some center field, but mostly first base.
All right.
Now softball, we had some good softball teams after that. Deer Light.
Deer Light.
When I worked for Deer Light, we had some good softball teams. And we competed with Linwood City. They had a couple of teams like Town and different teams. And we had some good league softball games there for a few years.
Yeah, there was some good softball played at that time,
There
wasn't
was. And luckily, we had a good team, and every year we was competing pretty much at the top. And Town had some good teams, and the city had some good teams.
Yeah.
But there for a few years, it was a lot of fun to play. And in 1970, me and Rachel got killed in a head-on collision, and that pretty much stopped all my playing anything. But it was fun while it lasted.
How do you want to be remembered?
Just a plain old country boy that likes people, that's honest and trustworthy, and just try to do the right thing.
What do you look at others? What do you admire in other folks? What are traits that they display that you admire?
People that will take their kids to church, because that's so important. It's always been important, but I think nowadays it's probably more important than ever. And I think maybe it's happening less now than ever, and that scares me a little bit.
So the person, I think I know who the answer is going to be, but I always ask this at the end. Who is the person who had the greatest impact on your life?
My daddy.
And tell us why again.
So
Why did he have such a big impact on your life?
he was so honest and truthful about everything. He had no favors. He had, that's another thing, Darrell. There was 6 boys, and 4 of us boys served the military. 4 out of 6 boys served the military, and Dad was proud of that.
Sure.
And of course, he didn't. If he had favorites, he didn't show favorites. And to have 6 kids, you might want to favor someone, but if he did, you didn't know.
Did your dad serve?
No, my dad didn't serve in the military. He had He had a brother was in World War II, got wounded. He had two brothers was in the World War II.
Okay.
You had one son, Cecil.
And
Okay.
of course, Cecil, my oldest brother's in World War II also.
Mm-hmm.
And Homer, he was in during the Korean thing, but he was in, Homer was in the Navy, Cecil in the Navy, and Carl and I went in the Army. We didn't want to stay out in that water that long. But anyway, Dad, you know, Dad was proud of that. But,
Mhm.
but he's the man. When I went to the Army, Darrell, I come home in 1958. Of course, Dad still had John, Raymond and Nancy and Johnny in school. And there he was working the sawmill, working the farm. By this time, the farming had slowed down a lot. We didn't raise tobacco like we used to and all that stuff. And Dad was having a hard time getting money to support these kids' school.
Sure.
And on top of that, his health began to fail. And I almost cry when I say this every time. I can't help it.
It's all right. It's all right.
He was so pale. Probably did weigh 125 pounds. And I can't help this, Darrell.
It's all right. Go right ahead.
But I knew my dad, but I didn't really know my dad good until I got, you know, come home and
Mhm.
me being an adult and having experience, seeing what he was really going through. And it just really hit me hard.
Sure.
And he had an ulcer, a bad ulcer that was affecting him a whole lot. And still had an outside toilet at that time. On Sunday morning, he says, I was staying with him at home after I got home from him. He called me Bud Lop, said, Bud, said, you better take me to the doctor. Well, I knew something was wrong with him because he's been so pale, lost so much weight and everything. Well, I took him to the hospital over and they kept him over. And Rachel fed him. Had been for her, he wouldn't have lived, I don't guess. Well, he had to eat and try to eat there for a few years or something else. But anyway, he made it through. Had some pretty rough time, but he made it through. But he's still trying to work at the sawmill, work at the, you know, raise a big garden and do what he could do to make a little money, send these kids on through school. But by this time, I got a job with Deer Light. And they was taking applications down in Loudon at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to get you an application, see if you get a job down there. Oh, he said, Bud, they won't hire me, I'm too old. He's like in his 50s, upper 50s, I guess, at that time, close to 60 maybe. And I'll never forget the plant manager at the time, big, tall, black-headed guy. His name was Emmett Smith, nicest fellow you ever saw. I turned in my application. I got an application, filled it out for him, turned it in, and Hamby Smith come out and says, Reese, I got your dad's application. Said, is he active with his hands? And I said, yeah. And I said, what we're talking about is work, I want to tell you now. I can go out there and get in the garden with him right now and he'll work my butt on the table to this day.
Yeah.
He said, well, tell him to come in, let me talk to him. And so he come in and hired him, talked to Dad and hired him. And Dad wouldn't use his fast work, but it wasn't hard work like he'd done all his work.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on your feet. But he hired Dad and Dad loved it. Rain or shine, he had to work every day. Worked a lot of Saturdays back then during the spring and summer because that's when our business was booming. And that was so beneficial to him because he's getting a check every week.
Right.
He wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
And that really helped him in many ways to go ahead and put these kids on through high school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing, Darrell. Out of 8 kids, 6 of his kids graduated from Loudon High School. The other two could have, but, you know, things happen.
Right.
And it's different, but
And four play sports.
And 4 played sports. Well, I'm going to turn the camera over here a minute. And now this is Raymond, his baby brother, and his wife Rachel. And so I was going to ask you all, we'll start right here. What is Reed, what has he meant to you in your lifetime?
Well, he just, like he said about my dad, it's hard to tell, keep a straight face. But see, I was first grade when Mom died. And Reed was her cook, you know.
Yeah.
And he learned to cook real good. Of course, and he would watch me play ball when it was at Sticky. And before he went to the military, and then him went to the military. That was a big loss for me, you know. Because Reed really looked out for us, you know. He was about 14 then. I was 6 or 7. And so he supported us, and he supported us, and it was always there for us. Went to watch us play ball. And Daddy didn't start to watch us go play ball until, you know, after Reed. When Reed got to play, they said, "Well, Reed scored a ball of points last night. Did you see him, John?" And he said, "I better go start watching them boys play ball." And then he watched Reed rest his career, and Johnny, and then all my career in sports. And but talk about our dad too, and what Reed meant to us. And he was so vital to my dad and what all he did, and he would help take care of things in the house and on the farm. And Daddy used to say, "Boys, if you don't care to work, 6 boys, you can have something someday. If you don't want to work, you don't deserve nothing." He was just so plain. And you know, he said the saddest day of his life is one Monday morning, rainy Monday morning. His mom was gone and the kids was gone to school. He said that was a sad day.
Sure.
He said, "But you know, I got 6 kids yet to raise. 2 was married and gone. And you know, he taught us to work. He watched who we read with. He kept us in school, and he took us to church every Sunday, and never remarried. And I think, what a dad. You know, what a dad we really had. And Coach Ripley's told me one time, he knew about Dad losing his wife for cancer when they had a bunch of kids at home. He said, "Rainbow coached hundreds of boys, hundreds, and dealt with their parents." He says, "But I never dealt with nobody like your dad." He said, "Your dad never said, 'Coach, I think my boy would be starting Friday. Well, I think you would have put him at this position.' But you know, Coach said, 'Raymond, I'm gonna tell you.'" And after I retired Ford and come back up here, and I spent a lot of time with Coach, went to eat with him a lot. And he said that, "Raymond, I respect your dad as much as any man I've ever known in my life. Here I got won 3 state championships, Coach of the Year in East Tennessee, and coming from him, that was an honor.
Sure.
But my dad deserved that kind of honor. He really did.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Reed was really a backbone right that time, because he had to take care of the inside and then still help the outside chores.
busy. Well, Miss Rachel, what do you have to say about Reed? You've been married for several years now. How many was it? 64? 65.
Well, he hasn't changed through the years. To me, he hasn't. He's the same all the time.
What are his best traits?
Well, he's kind to everybody. He just feels like he needs to help everybody or talk to them. He was real good to my parents and my brothers and sisters. My sisters all love him, you know. Well, my brothers do too, but not like my sisters.
Right.
And he's just a favorite in the family. On both sides, I believe.
And she was so good to her dad. I don't know what. I was in Atlanta, my sister and brothers in Atlanta, working, raising a family. We could just do so much. But what this lady did and Reed for her daddy is just beyond imagination. And he loved his woman so much. Really did.
It's easy to do for Papa Stamey.
Yeah.
He was sweet.
Well, those are very kind words, and I want to thank all of you for being with me today. And